Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen. This is Victor's Dragon 360, and today I'm going to show you how to make floating numbers in Clickteam Fusion 2.5. So, yeah, basically, all you need to know is how to create new objects, the basics of Clickteam Fusion, and how to do simple events. So, yeah, I'm going to show you basically how to create an effect of floating numbers when, for instance, you shoot a non-playable character, or NPC for short. So this is gonna be our player. Let's give him a movement of platform, and for instance, let's actually create a new active object for the platform. Stretch it up a bit, and let's color it in not this color, probably this one is better. So yeah, this is going to be our platform. The first event that we do is obviously when this object collides with our platform, then the player stops. Movement stop. If you can follow this far, that's good. It means you can understand simple events. So yeah, let's go in and do something a bit more complex. So let's try and create a counter that's gonna be showing up when our player shoots the enemy. So let's create an enemy first, actually. Let's just color it in red. Basically, how her red square is going to be our enemy, and it's just going to stand over here. Oh, basically the way we're going to damage it is by shooting bullets at it. And let's just create a new picture of a bullet. Okay. Yeah, roughly like that. So that could be a bullet. Obviously, somewhere here. Yeah, roughly like that. Let's make it a bit smaller. And basically, when it hits the enemy, collision between another object enemy, then basically it is destroyed. And it is actually going to spawn the counter. So we're going to create a new object that's going to be the counter in relation to our enemy right here. So yeah, the way it's going to work is that when if we click on here, you can see the chronology of events. First the bullet gets destroyed, then we create the counter at the center of the enemy. Then we basically need to set the counter to the value of the damage that is going to receive. So we can actually set that in probably alterable value, like global alterable value. We'll call it like the bullet damage, and like we can actually change the bullet damage to a random value of so it's going to be always changing, and say the random value between 40 and 50, and that is going to be here. Special condition: change a global value, set bullet damage to a random range of 40 and 50. Okay, and then when the collision between bullet happens, this is gonna change the counter, this counter, to the value that was set for bullet damage. So the way it's gonna work, because it's all in one condition, it basically will select only the counter that was just created and set that very counter's value to the bullet damage. And like the bullet damage is always changing, so yeah, we will basically receive different values coming out with different counters. And you'll see what I mean when we actually test it. For now, let's just include event that actually fires the bullet. The keyboard, upon pressing the key, let's make it button press. Upon user clicking left mouse button single click, this character will shoot an object, or launch an object rather, bullet, and use the direction of active is set to true. So let's test it out, shall we? So right now, when I press it, obviously it fires the bullet downwards, because that's the direction it's facing in. Now it shoots the bullet over here, and as you can see, the values are changing only for the new counters. So now how do we actually like make the counter floating? Basically, we create another always condition. Well, actually, we can create the timing condition afterwards to set it to repeat itself every now and again. But for now, we'll just use always. And basically, the counter will float upwards. So set y coordinate and select the counter position at the moment, the y coordinate at this point, -1. And also the y, not y coordinate, but the effect of disappearing will be the effect, set alpha blending coefficient, and the current effect alpha blending coefficient plus 1. And basically what that's going to do is add to transparency of the counter all the time. So if we run it and test it, yep, there we have our counter disappearing. 42, 41, 40. As we can see, all different values are obviously different because they disappear like that, and pretty much that's how you do the floating numbers disappearing. If you like want to have something like floating numbers from different places from the enemy, you can add a new value and call it random offset, not offset, and have it always equal to set random range here between 0 and basically 0 and say 2, and now we can actually set this create the object counter not at 0, 0, but if we edit it, we can actually have it relative to this object, just making sure. Yep. Oh, hang on. Yeah, the right one is chosen. Yeah, so we can actually choose it at the action point, and we can have it actually, you know what, we can actually change the position here, and when it's created we can move the counter to the right or to the left depending on whether it is created at the point when the value equals to 0, 1 or 2. So if we select position set x coordinate the current x coordinate plus retrieve global value and random offset, then we will now be able to create this object -1 on the x-axis from the center, so that like basically if it's 0 it will be to the left, if it's 1 it will be straight to, on the center, and if it's 2 it will be slightly to the right. So this way it actually has an equal chance third for being created at the center, to the left or to the right of the enemy. Yeah, apologies like if it took me a while to word it, but yeah, I'm just not having enough coffee at the moment, I think. Yeah, so basically that's the way to do it. We create it at -1 on x-axis from the enemy, then we offset it by the random offset value, which is our global value here, and it always equals to 0, 1 or 2, and that's basically where it's going to be appearing from the enemy. So as you can see, some are slightly to the right, some are slightly to the left. If you want to see some more difference, basically we can change this event here, but that will be later on. That's the end of tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. Victor's Vegan 360 out.